Hi Clarinet friends. In this video we're going to be scrolling through a little bit of Google Classroom for a minute, and then we are going to practice and review our 5-note scale, the notes on the scale, and how to read those. So I'm going to show you where you can, how to find some of those things in Google Classroom so you can use it to help you. So as you can see in this video, we are on our CS Elementary Band's Google Classroom page. And if you scroll through the stream, you will find all the stuff that we have, like our band syllabus, our YouTube page, a link to our Google Sites, as well as material for like scales, fingering charts, our virtual lesson schedule, and our Zoom link that you would come up to for our Zoom lessons. Where we're going to go over to classwork here. And if you scroll down to the bottom here, you will actually see fingering charts and scales. And if you click on those, you can find your instrument-specific fingering chart. So we're doing a clarinet video, so if you click on the clarinet video, you can open it up right there. You can also tap it with either right-click it or double tap at the same time, open it up in a new tab like I have over here, so I can keep both open. And if we even scroll down farther, you can find scales. And now there are two different scale sheets for clarinet here and for every instrument. And to start at the beginning, we're going to go with our 5-note scale. So you'll see a clarinet master scale, which is like the full one. And you're also going to see one that says 5 notes. So you, not flute, sorry, you want to find clarinet. So clarinet is up here. Yep, clarinet scales, 5 notes. So that's the one that we will be using today. And I have both of those open over here. So what we want to do is we want to just review, because a lot of us haven't played since March, so we're going through our 5-note scale, and we want to review all the notes in that staff and the fingering. So that's why we have the fingering chart up here, and we also have our scale sheet. So let's look at our scale really quick before we do anything else. Now, we have to kind of remember what notes we have in the scale. Now, this kind of makes it easy because we have our letter names right underneath the notes, but we also want to try to remember where they look on the staff. So you have a note here below the staff. We know it's C because it says it's C, but we know it's below the staff and it has a line going through it. Over here we have D right underneath that bottom line. E is on the line. F is in that first space. G is on the second line, and then the same thing going back down. So we're going up and down the staff here. Now we want to use this to remember those. We want to remember the fingerings for those. Now we know the note names, and we need to be able to match it up with our fingering chart here. So the key part of this is obviously we see the names that are listed on our fingering chart, but at the same time, we need to be able to match up and make sure we're doing the right note, because we might see more than one A or more than one C. We see C a couple times here, where we see C up here at the top. We see C over here as well. And we see even a C up at the top. So we want to make sure it's the correct fingering, the right fingering. So to do that, we just want to make sure it's on the right space or the line on the staff. So right here, we know we're just looking for this specific C. Now, don't pay attention to whether it's a quarter note, half note, or whole note. We are only paying attention to where it is on the staff. So right here, we know we have two C's here. So either one is the same. It's just that one's a whole note, one's a quarter note. And we see that it's that one that has a line, a ledger line underneath it or attached to it, and it's underneath the staff. So we need to find that C. We know it's not going to be this one because this one's on the staff in a space. And we know it's not this top one up here, so we know we are looking at this C right here. And when we look at that fingering chart, we can see it wants us to press. There are two thumb keys, so it shows the teardrop key as one of them, and it shows the thumb key as the other. But then, so it shows only the darkened one that's filled in, so that we want is the one that we want to press. So we are going to cover this hole. We are not going to press the teardrop key because it doesn't show on our fingering chart to press the teardrop key. So we know we're pressing our thumb. We know we're going to press, and our left hand is the top of the key. Now remember, your left hand's on top, so it wants us to press this key, the top key for C, as well as our middle finger and our ring finger. Now be careful, there are some finger and keys in between. We just want to make sure that we end up on the right key. So looking at mine, we have this top one in the middle here, and really it's not a key down here, but more of a hole that we're just going to cover with our ring finger. And so that is the fingering for C. And here's how it sounds. So there's our first note. Going back to our 5-note scale, we're just going up the scale now, so we want to just go review these fingerings. So we go from C, we go up to D here. Go back to the fingering chart. We know really we're just looking for the same one, which is right below that bottom line of the staff. It says we are also holding our thumb again, and really all we're doing is lifting up our ring finger from C. So it shows that we have our first finger and middle finger down. So here is D. Our next note in our 5-note scale shows here on the very bottom line. We are looking for E. So we go C to D, now we are up to E. Now for E, it also says we're holding thumb. And again, we're just lifting up now our middle finger to play E. Our next note in our scale is F in the very first space. So we go back to our fingering chart. Here we look F in the very first space. And if we look, it shows that we are only pressing the thumb. So we don't press any fingerings in the front of the clarinet. We're only using our thumb. So here is F. And our last note, and if you've noticed, we're just going in alphabetical order starting from C. Our last note is on the second line, and that is G. So coming over here, looking at G, here is our G on the second line. Here, notice nothing is filled in. So that means it is just left open. You don't press any keys. Now you're going to still hold the clarinet down with your thumb, and your right thumb holding that on that underneath that thumb part to hold the clarinet up. And then really just rest against your bottom lip. Remember to curl your bottom lip. And without pressing any keys, there is G. So now we've reviewed all of those notes in our scale. So now we just want to play the scale. So looking at this, I'm going to start right on the C with the first quarter note. Now I'm not going to play them as quarter notes. You can play them as quarter notes, half notes, whole notes, or whatever one you want. I'm going to do whole notes so you guys can play along, so we do it nice and slow. So you guys are welcome to play along with me. 1, 2, 4 beats a note, go. And there you have our 5-note scale, just our 5-note scale on clarinet. So thanks for checking out this video. I hope it's helpful for you to practice along at home with me while we're not having a lesson. And see you guys in your lesson soon. Take care.